Hey guys, welcome back. So today we have a little bit of a different one than what I've been doing recently. I've done one video like this before, and the opportunity has arisen once again to create another video like this. And so I figured that I would. And by like this, I mean today I'm going to show you how I made this pair of shoes. So let's get right into that. So before I get too far into this video, I want to take a moment and ask that if you do enjoy this kind of content, you like and subscribe. It really makes a difference for the channel. You don't have to do it yet. Obviously, I know it's the beginning of the video and I haven't really shown you anything worth enjoying yet. Check the video out. If you do enjoy the video, hit the like, subscribe. It really makes a difference for the channel and it helps to show me what kind of content that you guys like. So if you find yourself enjoying this video at any point, do me a favor, just below the video, click that like button, click that subscribe button. It doesn't take any time. It's totally free and it makes a huge difference for me. So thank you. Now we can get into the video. So before we continue, let's talk about the brief for this project. And by brief, I mean kind of the parameters, what I'm doing, who I'm doing it for, why I'm doing it, things like that. That helps to guide my decision-making process. And for today's brief, we have something pretty simple. So first of all, we are working on a pair of shoes, obviously. If you saw the thumbnail, if you saw the title, if you saw the intro, you know that that's what's going on. The next kind of couple things here, who am I doing this for? So this is for one of the regulars at Hillary's bar. She's a very big Van Halen fan. And she has a concert coming up that she's going to be going to. And she would like some custom shoes for that concert. So today, that's what we're going to be working on. And she's given me a little bit more information than that. I'm not just doing some random paint job on these shoes. You saw that there was some kind of pattern here. Van Halen, they have this very recognizable pattern that you can see right here. This is the pattern kind of you can see next to me right now. And she said, can you make this on a pair of shoes? I said, yeah, absolutely, no problem. Well, that's what we're going to go for today. So I ran over to the store, got a couple things. I work with typically acrylic paint. My bird clock is going off. Okay, so typically I work with acrylic paint, and for most cases, that's totally fine. Shoes, however, are a little different because you use them a lot, and so it would be very easy for the acrylic to eventually flake off or become damaged. And so I went out and I got some fabric painting medium that allows my acrylic paint to be mixed and be more flexible. Let me grab that real quick. Here's this. This is a textile medium is what it's called. And basically what this does is it turns my acrylic paint into permanent washable fabric paints. I prefer to use acrylics. I have a lot of acrylics, and so that just made the most sense for me. Instead of buying a whole new set of fabric paint specifically, I can just use this medium to turn what I'm using into it. And so it gives me kind of instructions on what to do. And I'm in the middle of finishing these right now while I'm talking. They have to wait for 24 hours, and then I'm going to heat set them and they'll be completely finished. But that's what we're going to start with. And so when I was looking at the texture and pattern that I was trying to create, once again, here it is. You can kind of see that it's a lot of lines, and I kind of worked through it and I decided what order the layers would make the most sense in. And I think based on the pattern that black should go first. Well, fortunately for me, these shoes are already kind of dark gray, so I didn't have to paint a black layer. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually tape things up. So we'll speed through that right now. You can see while I'm taping these up that I am applying tape around the soles of the shoes because I don't want to get paint on those. And then once I've got that covered, I'm going to go ahead and put some tape across the surface of the shoes. This is just to give me some areas that will stay black so that these lines can poke through everything else. And so while I'm speeding through that, I'm going to talk a little bit more about what I intend to do here. Once I get this tape down, I'm going to go ahead and paint a white layer over everything. And then I can pull the tape back up and it'll leave me the black lines. And I'm going to do the same thing again, put some new tape over that's not quite in the same spots. And I'm going to add some red. And that's basically going to give me the texture and pattern that I'm looking for. And so I'm trying this first step here. I don't even know if this is going to work on these shoes. I've never painted on a pair of shoes like this before, so this whole process is kind of new to me. You saw in this guy up here, I think, is where it's going to be. that I have done this before, but it was on a completely different pair of shoes. It was a pair of bowling shoes, which are leather. And so these are nothing like that. So I'm trying my best here to see if I can get this to work. One last thing to mention here, I'm just working with the standard piece of tape. I think it's stencil tape, but it doesn't really matter. It's kind of to get me a guide there. I don't expect this to be perfect, and I expect that the paint's going to bleed a little bit, and that's totally fine because I'm going to come up and touch it up later so that I can get nice, crisp, clean lines. I know that the tape's not going to stick very well and that some paint will go through, and that's totally fine. That's what I expect to happen. However, I also noticed that this tape is kind of thick. And so, in order for more variance and that I don't cover too much of the shoes, I also took a few strips of tape and cut them in half so that I can have some thinner lines as well. And so you'll see me applying these thinner pieces of tape too. Just know it's all the same piece of tape. I just have cut it in half long ways so that I have two thinner pieces for some sections of this as well. So now I've done that, and the next phase is going to be to put my first layer down. So you can see me painting white on this whole shoe. Well, not the entire shoe. I'm avoiding some areas. So for example, where the eyelets come out of the shoe, I'm not going to paint in any of that area. I'm not going to be painting anything on the tongue. And obviously you saw that I taped up the sole, so there'll be no paint on the sole. I could have taped up these other areas as well, but I thought that the hassle that it would be to actually tape that up was not worth the time that I could just paint around it. It was going to take too long to tape them up and not really save me enough time. And so it's not going to be perfect in those areas, but that's totally fine. The hand painted look, it's not supposed to be perfect. That's kind of what these people are hoping for. And so we are totally fine with that. So I'm going to go ahead and apply my first white paint layer. Then I'm going to let this dry, and then I'll peel the tape and we can see the first kind of looks at this. So this white paint is not the standard white that I would typically use. Normally I use titanium white. The last several times that I went to the store to buy new paint, they didn't have any. So I'm using zinc white, which is less opaque than titanium white. That's not a problem. Basically, all that means for me is that I had to put 2 layers down, which you see me doing as well in this process. Not an issue. I'm totally fine with that. I expected to have to do a couple layers for some of these colors, and it's exactly what's going to happen. So I'm not really worried about it, but we're going to go ahead and finish this up, and then we'll pull the tape. Okay, so I'm going to watch the tape pull in real time with you here. So let's get that going. You can see me getting ready to pull it. Here we go with the first piece. Yeah, see, that's perfectly fine. You can see I've got these black lines here that are being left in the middle of the white, which is exactly what I was hoping for. You can see that they're not 100% perfect, but that's totally fine. I expected that. Remember, I'm going to be touching things up later, but this is going to give me a great base for what I'm going for here. So I'm very excited to continue. So we'll speed through the rest of the tape pulling process, and then we can get to phase 2. All right, here we go. Second verse, same as the first. The first thing I got to do here is put more tape down. So I want to save these black lines to some extent, and I want to save the white lines. I want to save some new white lines as well that are not quite the same as the black ones. So I'm going to apply some more tape. I'm not going to try to perfectly cover over what's already there. I want this to look layered. And so I'm going to put some new tape down in random locations, using the same techniques that I did for the first layer. Once again, I'm also going to cut down some skinny pieces, and you'll see me do that for both shoes. I'm working on them both at the same time, It just makes it a little easier for me. I don't have to worry about keeping my paint ready to go for as long if I do them both at the same time. And so we'll apply the tape here, and then we are going to paint the whole thing red. So this red paint is much more opaque than the white paint was, and so I only really had to do one layer here. There's a couple spots that I touched up, but for the most part, the red covered in one, which is great because that's less work for me, which is awesome. I love that. and it makes it so it's not as much dry time in between, because when you layer paint, you got to make sure each layer is dry before you go on to the next one, or it's not really layering paint, it's just putting a bunch of paint down. And so that makes life a little easier for me here. But now that we've got the red paint on, I'm going to let it dry a little bit. I don't have to let it dry perfectly, just enough that I'm not going to peel it up too crazy while the tape is being pulled. And I'll tune back in with you for the peeling for this section here. I'm going to go ahead and start it in real time. I think basically the same spot that I started the first one on. I don't have fingernails because I'm a nail biter, and so this is always the hardest part, is peeling off the tape. But this is exactly the look that I was going for. You can see right away, I pull it off the camera because I'm dumb, but this is perfect. This is exactly the look that I'm looking for. Once again, the lines aren't dead straight, and there's certainly some bleed through, but that's totally fine. I expected that, and so I'm prepared for it, and I'm going to do something to fix that in the next phase here. There are a couple spots where the tape being pulled did pull up some of the paint. There are certain sections on these shoes that are not the same material as others, and some of the smoother sections didn't hold the paint as well. And so I'm going to have to freehand some stuff here, but I'm not too concerned about it. So we'll continue the rest of the tape pulling here right after I watch this good one. Yeah. We're going to continue the tape pulling here. I'm going to finish that up, and then we'll get to the touch-up phase. Okay, so I think we're at a point now where these are pretty good. They're like 90% done. I'm very happy with the way that they look. However, there are some imperfections that could be amended or avoided in the first place if I took some more time. However, this is the stage where I'm going to go from 90% to 99.5% to 100% complete. And so that's what we're going to be working on now. I'm going to be doing some touch-ups where I'm straightening some lines and working some bleed through from the tape, working that back, getting straighter lines, and getting areas that I shouldn't have certain colors on, get those colors removed, either by scraping them away or painting over top of them. So these shoes, I didn't paint any black, but they're dark enough that I have a black paint that I've pulled out so that I can refine each of the three colors that I think I'm going to need here today. And so we'll start that now, and you can see me working on that. This is a much slower stage of the painting. I am taking my time looking around at each of the lines on the shoes, and I'm letting myself have a lot of time for this stage because it's very easy to miss something when I'm trying to find all of the mistakes. And so I'm checking the shoe out, fixing what I see, putting it down, looking away, doing something else, checking the shoe, put it down, look away, do something else, check the shoe. And this is just to give me fresh eyes every time I look so that I can keep finding the little imperfections that I think need to be touched up. So this is where the footage ends, but there's a couple more things that I did without recording that I intended to but forgot. And so I'll talk about those with you here. I'm going to pull the shoes up so that we can see. Once again, here is our finished result. Just one of the shoes for you. They both look not identical, but fairly similar. And you'll notice that there's a nice black outline around the shoe itself. And that's on purpose. Let me get out of the way so that it zooms in on it. I thought that without the black outline, it didn't really, the swoosh, the Nike swoosh did not stand out very well. And so I went ahead on all of the swooshes on both of the shoes, and I did a black outline around things just with my paintbrush, nothing too crazy. And I think that made a big difference. Some more considerations that I was taking while making these shoes. You'll see right along the edge here that I avoided all of this soft fabric that's on the inside. This is just a thing that I think looks nice. I don't want to paint over the edge. I think it looks better this way, and so that's kind of my reasoning behind that. A nice black outline like the swoosh kind of helps to consolidate everything. I think it would be cool to have a black outline here too, just on the outside of this, but that would require me taping up everything all over again, which doesn't sound particularly interesting to me. So I'm not going to do that. You can see these are not very big shoes. They are size 6 in women's. So this was a lot easier than painting Jacob, my brother's shoes, which are like a size 13 in men's. There's a lot less shoe to paint. So that made my life a little easier, but I would say overall that these are pretty cool. And I did go ahead and have these shown to the client, who absolutely loved them. So I'm very happy with the result. She's very happy with the result. Like I said, as of right now, they're not 100% done. I need to wait probably 4 or 5 more hours today, and then I'll be going to bowling. And so when I get home from bowling and when Hillary gets home from work, she's going to help me because this is not something I have a ton of experience with. We're going to heat set the paint on these shoes to make sure that it's solidified and it stays in place, and that is what finishes the process. And what the bottle here asks me to do is going to make them flexible and machine washable. I don't know many people who wash their shoes, but some people do. But basically it's going to seal them in properly and according to the instructions on my medium. And so that's what we're going to do later today. We're going to heat seal them, and then we'll be finished, and I will relace the shoes and take some fancy pretty shots, and then we can get these off to Mel, who is the girl who we're painting these for. And maybe if she allows, I will get her reaction. You guys will know because it'll be in the video or it won't be. And then I think that's it. So if you guys did enjoy this video, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, ring the bell, leave a comment, share with your friends, all the standard YouTube things. It makes a world of difference for the channel. Doesn't take much from you. I really appreciate it. Obviously, if you don't enjoy it, don't watch. But I hope that you like this. If you're watching at this point in the video, you definitely enjoyed this to some extent, or you have me on in the background and you're not listening to me anymore. In which case, hey, pay attention. Are you subscribed to me? You listen to this whole video for free in the background. Subscribe to me. I'm sorry. I'm a little crazy today. But yeah, if you enjoyed, subscribe, like, share, leave a comment. All that stuff makes a big difference. Thank you guys so much for watching. And I will see you in the next one.